CRA-P, Certified Research Auditor License Program. Corporate Institute of Strategic Research, CISR, Global. Theme, building a global community of research integrity guardians.
Professionals, esteemed researchers, and global partners. On behalf of the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research Global, it is my distinct honor and privilege. The world does not need more research. It needs trustworthy research. It needs certified integrity. To welcome you to the Certified Research Audit License Program, a transformative initiative designed to reshape the landscape.
CRALP, a transformative initiative designed to reshape the landscape of research auditing, quality assurance,
trustworthy research. It needs certified guardians of integrity.
Corporate losses resulting from inadequate due diligence and unreliable strategic intelligence. Public health emergencies complicate.
Today, as we launch this Training of Trainers initiative for the African Charter Council, we recognize...
All right, today we're diving into something really important, a new global initiative that's all about protecting the very foundation of how we learn and discover new things. We're talking about a plan to build a worldwide team of what you could call guardians of research integrity. It's all happening through a program called CRA-P, the Certified Research Audit License Program. So let's get into how this whole thing is supposed to work. You know, just think about it for a second. We rely on research for pretty much everything. It's the bedrock for how we build our future, how big companies make huge decisions, and how we tackle our biggest problems as a society. So the question is a serious one. What happens when that bedrock, that foundation, starts to crack? Well, here's the tough part. Those cracks aren't just a what-if scenario. They're already showing up. We're actually in the middle of a global crisis of trust when it comes to research. And believe me, this isn't some abstract problem for scientists in a lab. It's something that really does affect every single one of us. I mean, the signs are everywhere. We're seeing huge numbers of papers being retracted from journals that we used to see as the absolute gold standard. We've got government policies failing because they were based on bad data. Companies are losing fortunes, and public health is put at risk by studies that nobody can even reproduce. What the biggest problem? It's that slow, steady erosion of trust in the very institutions we count on to find the truth. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The cost of this stuff isn't just about some professor's reputation. No, it's measured in real-world things. Money poured down the drain, terrible policies that affect millions of people, and just a genuine, measurable decline in human well-being. The stakes are incredibly high. But, and this is a big but, in the middle of this challenge, a solution is starting to take shape. And it's not just another committee or a new set of rules. We're talking about the rise of a whole new profession, a class of professionals whose entire job is to tackle this problem from the inside. So who's behind this? It's an organization called the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research, or CISR Global. They looked around and spotted a massive gaping hole. Think about it. Finance, engineering, medicine, they all have strict, established auditing systems, right? But the world of strategic research, it's been flying without that safety net. CISR's whole mission is to build one. And their answer, their big idea, is CRA-P, the Certified Research Audit License Program. Now, this isn't just some weekend training course where you get a fancy certificate. The goal here is way bigger. It's to completely reshape how we think about research quality, setting a brand new global standard for what excellence and, accountability really look like. Their plan really boils down to 3 simple but super powerful steps. First, educate. Give professionals the knowledge and the tools they actually need to do this job right. Second, certify. Create a clear, tiered system so that a certification actually means something. And third, the really ambitious part, transform, to fundamentally improve the entire research ecosystem for everyone and bring that trust back. Okay, so this sounds great, but how does someone actually become one of these guardians of integrity? Well, CRA-P didn't just throw this out there. They've built a very clear, very structured pathway for people to follow. Let's take a quick look at how that licensing works. You can see right here there's a real career path. You don't just jump into the deep end. You start as a CRA, an associate auditor, kind of learning the ropes under supervision. From there, you can move up to a professional auditor, where you're leading your own audits, then a senior auditor, handling the really complex stuff. And And at the very top, you have the master auditor. These are the people who actually help shape the standards for the entire profession. It's a true journey from apprentice to master. And what's really smart is that it doesn't stop with individual people. The vision is much bigger. CRA-P also offers licenses for top-tier consultants and, this is key, for entire institutions like universities. This allows them to become certified training providers. That's how you scale this. That's how you build a global, self-sustaining community that's dedicated to integrity. Now, to really get what these auditors will be doing, we first have to understand the world they work in. So let's quickly define what we mean by research management. You can think of it as the engine room of the whole research enterprise. So this definition comes from a group called CRA-A, and it's perfect. Basically, it's saying research management isn't just about paperwork and admin. It's about everything an organization does to make its research better, faster, and more impactful. We're talking strategy, funding, ethics, collaboration, the whole shebang. This is the domain these CRA-P auditors will be experts in. So what are the actual skills a certified auditor needs? What's in their toolkit? Well, the whole CRA-P program is built on a solid foundation of 9 essential skills, or competencies. And here they are. This list is incredibly comprehensive. It covers the entire life cycle of research, from the very beginning with strategy and planning, all the way to things like developing researchers and managing partnerships. Right in the middle there, you see number 6, research ethics and integrity. That's the real heartbeat of this whole thing. Then it gets into the nuts and bolts of managing money and data, and it all leads to the final, most important point, making sure the research has a real-world impact. It's the complete package. Now, you might be wondering where this list came from. Well, they didn't just invent it. This whole toolkit is based on an internationally recognized framework from CRA-A, and that's a really big deal because it gives the program instant credibility. It's not built on some new ideas cooked up in a boardroom. It's built on proven global best practices. So, there you have it. We've seen the crisis, we've seen the response, and we've seen the incredible toolkit being created to fix the problem. What we're witnessing here is the birth of a new profession, one that is dedicated to defending the value and the trustworthiness of knowledge itself. So the question on the screen is for all of us, really. Are you ready to become a guardian of it? So let's get right into it. How does an entire continent rewrite the rules for research, to solve its own unique challenges? We're going to take a look at how Africa is building a whole new framework for research integrity, and it's being led by a new generation of professionals with a really critical mission. But before we can really appreciate the solution, we have to get our heads around the problem. And it all starts with this one simple question. If most of the money for research is coming from outside the continent, who's really calling the shots? Who's setting the agenda? It's a question that cuts right to the chase. And this number, well, it tells a massive part of the story. 0.45%. That's the average that African governments spend on research and development as a slice of their GDP. It's an incredibly small number, especially when you think about the sheer scale of the challenges they're trying to solve. Now, that number by itself is pretty low, right? But check this out. When you put it next to the global average of 1.7%, you really see the gap. It's huge. And that visual right there shows you just how much the system has to rely on outside funding, which, well, it often comes with its own set of priorities. So all of this leads us to the bigger picture. We're looking at a continental research system that is under a ton of strain. And that funding gap, it's really just one symptom of much deeper, more complex issues that have been building for a long, long time. The roots of this problem go way back. You've got colonial legacies that shaped institutions, you have the instability that comes from conflicts, issues with governance, and all of that is made worse by that over-reliance on foreign money, which can pull research in a totally different direction than what's actually needed on the ground. And what's the result of all that strain? Well, this quote from Nature just lays it bare. Africa has almost a fifth of the world's population, but it's producing just 1 to 2% of the world's research. And let's be clear, this is not about a lack of talent or brains. It's about a system that's in desperate need of a redesign. But okay, this is where the whole story pivots. Because in the face of all these challenges, a really powerful, coordinated response is rising up from within the continent. The goal is to set a brand new standard for quality, for integrity, and most importantly, for relevance in African research. And this is not happening in a vacuum. No way. It's a massive team effort. You've got huge players like the African Union and the European Union working together on initiatives like HQAA, that's all about harmonizing quality assurance for higher education. The shared goal? To build one single unified playbook for the whole continent. So how are they actually building this new playbook? Well, it comes down to two key ideas. First, you have standards. Think of these as the absolute non-negotiable bottom line, the minimum requirements everyone has to meet. Then you have guidelines, which are basically the how-to manual, giving advice on the best way to meet those standards. It's a smart system, right? It creates accountability, but also provides support. Now, having a great playbook is one thing, but you need referees on the field to make sure everyone's following the rules. And this brings us to a really smart, targeted solution. Training a whole new class of professionals whose job is to champion and enforce these new standards. And right at the heart of this movement is an organization you gotta know about, the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research, or CISR Global. Their big thing is the Certified Research Auditor Licensing Program, or CRA-P. And trust me, this is the engine that's driving all the change. I absolutely love this. The people who go through this program, from the ones teaching it to the ones graduating, they get this amazing title, Guardians of Integrity. Their job isn't just to be an auditor and check boxes. Nope. It's to be a protector to actively uphold this new framework for research all across Africa. And here's a super important shift in thinking. This whole movement isn't just about old-school academic research, knowledge for knowledge's sake. The focus here is on what they call strategic research. That means research that is specifically designed to tackle Africa's biggest challenges head-on. Things like conflict resolution, managing debt, and building stronger democracies. So, how do you become one of these guardians? Well, the journey starts right here, with the Certified Research Audit Associate License, the CRA-A. This is the entry level, and the strategy is brilliant. It's a train the trainers model. The idea is to create this big pool of leaders and mentors first, who can then go out and scale this knowledge everywhere. Okay, so if you're going to be a guardian of integrity, what kind of tools are you working with? What's in your toolkit? Let's take a little peek inside the auditor's playbook and see what these folks are learning. And wow, this curriculum is no joke. It's incredibly comprehensive. I mean, just look at some of these modules. You've got one diving deep into ethics and integrity. Another gets into the real nitty-gritty of audit processes. And crucially, you have modules on corporate governance and quality assurance, the very things needed to fix the systemic issues we talked about earlier. So once they're certified, these associate auditors become the backbone of the whole system. And notice that keyword, supervised. They're not just thrown into the deep end. They learn by actually doing. They participate in audits. They verify data. They apply the new standards, all while being mentored by more experienced pros. And here's the cool part. This isn't just a one-and-done certificate. It is a full-blown career path. You can start as an associate auditor, then move up to become a professional, and then even go on to be a senior or master auditor. This is how you build a real, sustainable community of experts for the long haul. So when you start putting all these pieces together, the new standards, the training program, the career path, you can really start to see the grand vision taking shape. It's a future that's built on solutions that are truly Africa-led. And the strategic payoff here is just immense. For the first time, you have homegrown capacity for research auditing. That builds trust in African institutions. You're creating a steady stream of auditors who can work anywhere in the world. And it cements CISR as the go-to authority for setting these new, higher standards. This quote right here, it just captures the passion and the urgency of this whole thing. It's basically a declaration of independence for African research. The point is to build a system that is strong and self-reliant, not one that depends on funding that could just disappear tomorrow. Which really leaves us with this one big, exciting question. With these new guardians of integrity on the job, and with research focused squarely on the continent's own priorities, can this new Africa-led system finally unlock the continent's incredible development potential? It feels like all the pieces are finally falling into place.
Seasoned academician and professionals trainers, Professor Mohammed Bangira, Managerial Strategy, The Global Synergy, Plan and Action. Dr. Victoria Okan, CISR Global Mandate and CRA-P Registry. Dr. Israel Jacob Udo, Research Quality Fundamentals. Dr. Israel Jacob Udo, Case Study Evaluation. Professor Tozendra Dwavedi, Ethics and Research Integrity. Professor Olufemi M. Adesope, Structural Data Analysis and Global Audit Integrity. Professor Mrs. Goodness Oluwene, Research Paper Writing, Presentation and Publication Strategy. Training team, capstone, evaluation, presentation and reviews. Dr. Victoria Ocken, closing session and certification pathway.